and serial number.
My name is Russell Southard. My what number?
Your rank and serial number.
Oh, I was a signalman 3rd class. My serial number is 897-1027.
Okay. Were you a student or were you out of school when the war broke out?
I was out of school.
When did you enter the service?
In February of 1943.
Did you enlist or were you drafted?
I was drafted.
What branch of the service were you in?
I was in the United States Navy.
Where did you receive your basic training?
I received my basic training in Sampson Naval Base in Geneva, New York.
What ship were you assigned to?
I was drawn for sea duty on a ship, the USS Roche, DE-197.
What were your duties on the ship?
When I first went aboard ship, I was a seaman. That entailed scrubbing down the decks and scraping and painting and any type of breaking out stores, any type of work, more or less, that had to be done on ship. And then I struck for signalman, went to signal school in Casco Bay, Portland, Maine, between one of the trips across. And I got to be a signalman.
Okay. Your trip to Bizerti must have been about 50 years ago this month. Can you tell us about this convoy mission?
Well, these convoys were made up in the United States and generally were assembled in Norfolk, Boston, New York, and we had 1 destroyer and 11 destroyer escorts for each convoy. The convoys were made up of lines of ship. They all had a station that they had to keep. And at night we always zigzag to just change course. And the USS Roche was always at the stern of the convoy in case they had a straggler, which is a ship that breaks down. They have to pull out a line, the other ships go by them, and we stay until they can get it repaired. And instead of zigzagging, we take a direct course to intercept the convoy as soon as possible. We took one of the largest convoys ever across Atlantic, 152 ships in one convoy. It's just quite a sight.
Do you remember any other experiences on the rest of your runs to North Africa and then to England and France?
We were in Bizerti, North Africa, and we were there the 2nd day. We usually stayed a week, and the division commander got a request that the destroyer escort in the best condition, ready to travel, to proceed to the Rock of Gibraltar and escort back a seagoing tug, the USS Cherokee, and a torpedoed merchant ship that had been patched up to be returned to the States. And we proceeded to the Rock of Gibraltar, and we tied up until morning and pulled out of there at 6 in the morning with the USS Cherokee pulling this disabled ship. And we were out about an hour, and we got a contact of a sub, made runs on it, got an oil slick. But they gave us a probable, but the sub never surfaced, so you can't be sure. The sub used to stay right around the mouth of the Mediterranean, as many convoys went through there. We proceeded to the United States and was supposed to have delivered the seagoing tug and the ship to Philadelphia. That was the time of the big hurricane that came up the Atlantic coast in '44, and we went as far as New York with them, and then they turned south and went right along the shore in order to get down there. More or less went around the hurricane.
Okay. Where were you when the war ended in Europe?
I was in Southampton, England, on VE Day. 2 days after, we started back to the States to get outfitted to go to the Pacific, and we saw numerous German submarines on the surface with white flags because they had been told that they had surrendered.
Okay. I think you just answered this question. Where was your ship assigned after VE Day?
On VE Day,
Mm-hmm.
I was in Southampton, England.
Yeah. Didn't tell me anywhere.
Well, we used to take convoys into England after we stopped taking the Bizerti. I made 3 runs to Bizerti, made about 5 into England. And we'd take ships over to Cherbourg, France, and Plymouth, England. We used to see the Queen Mary traveling alone carrying troops. They never had any escort because they could do 35 knots. No one could catch them.
In your letter, you mentioned taking out the crash boat. What was that?
Everybody.
The crash boat. In your letter, you mentioned that you went on a crash boat.
Oh, the crash boat. Well, when we got transferred to the Pacific, we spent 10 days in Cuba, Guantanamo Bay, on maneuvers and so on, checking out all our equipment. And I was put off in Panama for an operation in the hospital, and I never caught up with my ship. I was transferred up to a crash boat in Nicaragua, and I flew up there on a seaplane on the transfer. A crash boat is the same thing as a PT, and of course we didn't have any torpedoes on it when we were in Nicaragua. And we would stand by for seaplanes when they landed, when they take off, which was only once a week. It was on a Wednesday. They transferred personnel and brought in the mail and so on.
Were you ever wounded?
No.
Okay. Can you tell us what happened to your ship, the DE-197?
Well, the DE-197 struck a surface mine in Tokyo Bay in September of 1945, 38 days after the war ended. They were escorting in a hospital ship, and the ship hit a mine in the stern, and it killed about 12 men. They kept it afloat and got it into the harbor, and later they cannibalized it, took everything off of it, guns, if it was any good, and took it out and used it for target practice, and it was laid in the bottom of the ocean in the Pacific.
Okay. What brought you back to Otego after the war?
Well, I have a wife and a daughter, and Otego was a good place to live. And I had worked down to Sydney in the Bendix plant before the war started and until I was drafted. And so I had reason to come back. My family was around here. I graduated from Otego School in 1939.
Why do you think it is important to preserve the stories of those who lived during the World War II years?
Well, I think it may show the young people what was given for their freedom and many things they have in this country today, for which we're all very fortunate. live in this society. We don't have people walking around the streets with rifles and military people. Our type of government is the best in the world.
Are there any other memories or thoughts that you want to tell me before the interview's over?
Well, we had one incident in the North Atlantic near the Azores. A troop ship and a French aircraft carrier collided at night, and around 130 men were thrown into the ocean, along with many canvas mail bags. And we got permission to turn on our searchlights, which I had one, a 2-foot carbon searchlight, to try and pick up survivors. We picked up 11, and another DE picked up 3. Well, with all the mail bags in the ocean and dark, it was pretty hard to pick up men, and it was rough, the water was.
Okay, well, thank you for the interview. That's all the questions that I